So as you can see, I am using my Zoom H1N again, Purple Panda mic, and I'm doing that just because I like the way it sounds much better than the Holly Landmark Max. And I also, even though this looks crappy, and I'm not taking the time to hide it because it's a YouTube video, but I really don't like the way the Holly Landmark Max looks. I'm like, you know, it looks like some kind of weird square, you know, protruding off my chest. So I don't know, I'll use it, but I don't really like the way it looks, and I actually like the way this sounds better too. So anyway, yesterday I shot a bunch of anamorphic footage at a different location, and that's where most of this video is going to take place. But also, you'll see the true challenge of trying to record yourself. I didn't have any lights with me, and it was an incredibly bright day, similar to today. And I was trying to balance out the image, and so me being the subject was like completely underexposed, but I kind of like the way it looks. You know, it's got like a weird vibe, you know? And if you use it, you know, just every once in a while, it could be effective in a story. But as a YouTube video for a long time, it looks kind of stupid. Yo, I'm just wondering why you would possibly want to shoot anamorphic, you know? It's like what's the point? The lenses are heavy, they're usually really expensive, you know? They're a pain in the ass to focus. They're all manual focus, you can't use your autofocus. I mean, then there's all the math, you know, the D-squeeze, the aspect ratio. It's like, you know, you're looking at your monitor and, you know, you're trying to give yourself open gate or 4x3 if you're using something like the original Panasonic S5, and you're doing that to allow yourself to have some leeway. Like, why not just frame it properly, you know? Why not just, you know, set up your composition, get it right in camera, and forget about it? Why you gotta, like, you know, give yourself all these headaches in post-production, have to de-squeeze the image, and you know, it's like you're squeezing and then de-squeezing and getting it back to normal. Why not just use a wider lens? Like, what's the difference? I mean, anamorphic is a pain in the ass. So you know what just occurred to me? I thought about it, and I could totally make a YouTube channel that is called Travels with Rock and his blue retractable little plastic stool. And I could just go to places like this and sit here and tell stories. But I probably won't do that. But you have to admit, pretty cool idea. So I'm gonna go in and out of that. But the B-roll that I got from there, I think, is a good example of what this Sirui 35mm f1.8 APS-C 1.33 squeeze factor anamorphic lens can do. It's really accessible financially. Like, you know, I think if you're into filmmaking and if you own a camera and you have some of this gear, you could probably also afford $299 to get this, which, I mean, I think it costs $5.99, but I got it for $2.99 because it's on sale all the time. And I also have the Sirui 75mm, as I talk about in the other part of the video, but I'm not sure which parts I'm going to share, so I'll tell you up here that I also have the 75mm f1.8, which I didn't use in this video. This whole video is shot with the 35mm, and remember, it's APS-C, so it would be a 52mm equivalent, but because it's anamorphic, it's 52mm equivalent in the vertical, but it gives you much more horizontal. So it's more like a 37mm equivalent, but it still looks like a 52. You know, like my image looks more present like a 50mm lens would look, as opposed to a wider 35mm, if that makes sense. I mean, I could be coming from anywhere, you know? Like, let's just say I was just taking a long walk from county to county or state to state, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll stop here. There's like a river and this beautiful bridge up here in Rosendale, New York, and you know, I could put my stool up here and I could tell a story from here kind of far away. That would be kind of cool. Actually, it could be Rock and his traveling stories with his blue plastic retractable stool in anamorphics. Yeah, that would be a good idea too. Although, you know, it wouldn't just be anamorphic. I do it in all kinds of stuff. Spherical, vintage, you know, maybe even autofocus to show how the autofocus in the S5 sucks. Or not. Sometimes it works. And you know, the cool thing about anamorphic is that it just looks different. You know, it's hard to explain. You know, obviously the obvious lens flares and, you know, the bokeh and things like that are signatures of shooting anamorphic. But there's also something about the colors that change and just the whole image. You know, squeezing, de-squeezing just does something to the image, you know? I'm not sure what exactly it is, but I don't know what the science is. I don't even know if it's a real thing. So don't attack me for being like, oh, that is scientifically untrue. There's definitely something different about shooting with anamorphic lenses. So, is this seriously a roof? Like, did a roof get blown off this building? In front of these beautiful bridges? Anyway, this could be another one of my, you know, travels with Rock and his blue retractable plastic stool where the possibilities are endless. It's crazy. Unbelievable. It's really hot. I'm gonna go now. Retractable. Did I mention it? And it's something that I really enjoy. I enjoy the work that it entails, you know, because you got to work a little bit harder. You have to be more intentional. You have to really think about what you're doing. You have to like slow down and look at your frame and get your composition together, because you have all this room to the right and to the left now, and you got to decide what to do with it. Because if you're not going to use that space, why would you shoot anamorphic? You know what I mean? Like this scene right here is really not ideal for anamorphic because it's really not an advantage. You know what I mean? Like, I could just use a wide angle lens to do this. But when you start to deal with foreground and background and you start to have more intricate images, then there's really an advantage to anamorphic in terms of style, you know? Like, you're gonna have a different vibe. And I think if you're looking to be unique, and if you're looking to have your own thing, and if you're looking to do something that's not just the norm, then anamorphic is a good way to go. I mean, I have no idea what that is back there. Some kind of castle or something like that, maybe? Some kind of laboratory or facility, I have no idea. It's kind of wild looking. But I'm sure there's a story behind it. But that could be part of my travels with Rock and his plastic blue retractable stool through an anamorphic lens. Pretty cool. That could be a part of the story too. So, yeah, I kind of like it here. I think it's a pretty cool place. And yeah, let's go to the next place. I mean, I have a good friend who's a pretty, you know, successful cinematographer. You know, he does work for Netflix and HBO and stuff like that. And he's literally never shot anamorphic because he's not interested, because it's too much work. You know, he's like, I don't want to deal with the math and thinking about it. And, you know, like, I could deal with all the aspect ratios without having to shoot anamorphic. And that's fair. You could do that. And if you have something like, you know, vintage lenses like Helios, or like my old Minolta lenses or old Canon vintage lenses, you could probably get a similar kind of vibe, but it won't be the same. you know? I mean, obviously, people have been using anamorphic for a reason for many, many years, and they continue to choose to do so because it's just very special, you know? There's just something different about it. But I think the difference is that it's not easy, you know? But nothing good is easy. You know, nothing worthwhile is easy. Filmmaking is not supposed to be easy. You know, there's a process to it, you know? There's the setup, you know, your pre-production, you're figuring out how you want it to look, you're setting up your aspect ratio before you even shoot. It's like, it's worth it. And you know why it's worth it? It's worth it because it looks so fucking good. I mean, you never know where I might be coming from, walking from miles and miles and maybe even days and days. I mean, it is a cool idea for a storytelling thing with, you know, Travels with Rock, anamorphic, and his blue plastic retractable stool. I could sit here and tell stories for days. And by the way, one really cool thing about this Hollyland Lark Max, which generally I can't stand, is when I'm far away like this, you don't even see it. So the fact that I hate the way it looks doesn't matter. And it's so convenient because I can record directly to the microphone. I don't need the receiver. And so I just have to sync the audio. And oh, it's so difficult to sync audio. Not. So yeah, I think I'm just going to continue my journey with my retractable stool. How cool is this? Come on. You know you want one. You know you want these stories. You know you want all of it. Keep coming with me. It doesn't always have to be a bridge, by the way. See you later. So again, this is the Sirui 35mm f1.8, which is really a flexible lens. Like you'll see in the B-roll, I could just completely blow out the background with this. But right now I'm shooting at f5.6, so you could probably see a lot behind me. And you know, I could shoot all the way to f16 where you could see everything. And you know, I know that people say there's no such thing as lens compression, but there's something about the presence of this lens, the subject and the lens, that to me just looks different, especially when you shoot wide open or on the open end. You know, f1.8 to like f4 or even f5.6, it just does something to the whole frame that just looks very special. I think as you stop it down and get to like f8, f11, you know, all that, then it just starts to look like a regular spherical lens, in my opinion. I mean, filmmakers go through unbelievable shit to get what they want because it's not easy. You know, you're going out there with this machine that records life and you're trying to recreate what you have in your head, this story that you're putting together that you're trying to share with people with a camera and a lens. Like that's amazing to me. That's like miraculous that you could do that. And so then to make it even more difficult by shooting anamorphic, but you know, filmmakers are like mad scientists, you know? Like they have something in their head and they're just stubborn and they're gonna figure it out. And they're gonna do anything that it takes to get there. I'm getting ready to shoot a movie and I'm gonna use exclusively 2 anamorphic lenses for the whole film because I feel like they are gonna give me that vast kind of vibe that I'm looking for, that wide but kind of surreal look that I think is the definition of what this story needs, you know? Like I think it serves the work. And that's why I'm gonna be shooting with just my 35 and my 75, these 2 Sirui lenses. And you know, if you think it's a disadvantage to shoot APS-C, because I have a full frame camera, I'm using a Lumix S5, it's definitely not a disadvantage, you know? First of all, most great films have been shot in Super 35, which is close to APS-C anyway. But you know, APS-C on the Panasonic S5, you don't lose any quality at all. And so I don't see the difference really. I don't need full frame anamorphic lenses. I can see the advantage to, you know, the 1.5, 1.6, 1.8, 2.0, you know, squeeze factors. But I don't know. This 1.33 is just fine. It gives me beautiful lens flares. It gives me beautiful bokeh. It just works really well. So I don't feel want for anything. You know, I'm happy with what I have, and I'm going to be able to make a magnificent film, tell a beautiful story with these two lenses, and I'm excited about it, even though I know it's going to be more work across the board, from carrying these heavy lenses around to doing all the work that you have to do, like I mentioned, to make sure your frame is correct, to, you know, make sure your stabilization is on point, even though Lumix has anamorphic stabilization in the camera, so that really helps. I don't think it's a good idea to go, oh, I'm just going to go shoot anamorphic and see what happens. I think you should shoot anamorphic, understand what it looks like, see if you love it, and then use it. You know, if it fits your project, if it fits your story, if it fits the way you want it to look, the way you want to present it, you know, the way you want it to deliver it. Otherwise, it's a pain in the ass, you know. Otherwise, get a 24-70, you're ready for anything, spherical lens, just shoot 16:9, and it's awesome. It's still awesome. But, you know, anamorphic is special. Yeah, if you're looking to be unique, if you're looking to push yourself beyond what you're used to pushing yourself to, like if you're looking to kind of raise your level, because I think anamorphic shooting, because it slows you down and because it's a little bit more intentional, probably makes you evolve into a better filmmaker overall, because, you know, it's like anything, you know, like if you're a guitar player or a piano player or whatever, when you start to learn something, you start practicing really slow until you can play fast. And, you know, the slower you play, the more you understand it, the more you can kind of cognitively really grasp what's going on, in the case of music with your fingers, or in the case of filmmaking with composition and with everything. So take your time. I think anamorphic is made to make you take your time, you know. It's created for somebody who really wants to have some patience, you know, and have some real intention with the way they want things to look. The story being told in exactly the way they want it to be told. Yeah, I think if you want to become a better filmmaker, anamorphic is the best way to go. And I also happen to think, or vintage lenses are good too, but I also think that shooting film with anamorphic, no matter how good you are, no matter how advanced you are, you know, we all can learn, we all can continue to grow. And I just think anamorphic is the challenge that we all need to become better artists. I think people that shoot anamorphic a lot are very unique, you know, because they're definitely choosing the hardest path. Like, they're not lazy at all. And I think that's very special, and that's what I'm always looking for in collaborators, you know. I'm looking for people who are willing to go the extra, you know, put in that extra effort, you know, and who are extremely stubborn in trying to get exactly what they want. And then if they don't get exactly what they want, they get something that they could never have imagined in their wildest dreams, because they push themselves to the limit of their own existence, you know what I mean, their own potential, and they wound up somewhere that they had never been before. And I think filmmaking in general will do that for you. But if you add anamorphic to the process, it'll get you there even quicker, because it's going to challenge you and it's going to make you work hard and it's going to frustrate you. And yeah, that's what I think, and I'm sticking by that.